Welcome to another episode of Philosophy of Chillin. I'm your host, Don't Let the Connect. And with me today, we have a reoccurring face, another familiar presence. So, with that being said, I'm going to allow her to reintroduce herself to y'all.
I hate doing these. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Diana. Yeah.
And
You guys might know me from hosting Shaking the Culture, and Shaking the Culture Festival and other things. I think. Yeah.
You've probably seen her around the city at different events, getting acquainted with the ladder and social elements. But today we're more so focused on the person and not just what gets put into her craft. So as always, we're going to go over the topic of today, the theme, if you will, and from there we'll just break it down and get into whatever we get into. So, the theme for today that I wanted to talk about was self-awareness. And the question that I really wanted to pose to the both of us is, how do we go through or address the different levels of self-awareness as we're also experiencing our self-development?
Dang, why are they hitting me with like deep ass questions from like the get go? That's crazy. You answer it first.
Dang. Well, this is just how my mind works, honestly. Like, even like from my personal experience, is things that I see that I'm going through or I'm trying to work through, and it's like, okay, how can I understand this at another level to help me get to the end result of what I actually want to be doing or portraying? So for me, I guess first understanding what the different levels of self-awareness are is really how I started, just, and I'm still developing in, because it's not like you think, oh, self-awareness, this is just one thing that applies. No, it looks different in different aspects of life, and whether it be self-awareness about you personally or self-awareness on how you can influence others, self-awareness about how you take that influence and that feedback and kind of incorporate it into your own mental process. Like, those are the things that kind of stand out to me that I try to address in general, because one, you got to start with yourself, but what do you recognize when you look in the mirror? And those are things that have to continuously develop, especially in different seasons, because when I look in the mirror, it can change depending on my mood, depending on what I'm going through. And I have to still be diligent in acknowledging, okay, well, I'm feeling this way. But even though I'm feeling this way, or someone has given me feedback saying I have a strong skill set in doing this, taking that perspective and then trying to apply it to, okay, well, do I really acknowledge that within myself? I never considered it to be to this degree of what this person communicated to me, but at the same time, if they're saying it, whatever their intentions may be, maybe this is something that I need to incorporate in how I think about myself and how I grow and everything else. Even if it's bad, like, okay, they said, yo, you really be tripping, like, you don't know how to communicate, what have you. At the end of the day, it's still like, okay, well, if this is what someone is saying, this is why I felt this way. First of all, gotta address the feelings. But then after addressing the feelings, it's like, okay, well, what am I gonna do about this? Am I just gonna be like, yeah, well, this is just how I am, or this is just how I feel, or am I gonna sit there and be like, okay, yes, this is how I feel, but how can I improve on how I communicate what I actually wanted to in that situation a little bit better? So, yeah. What about you?
I actually have a question though.
Yeah.
What's it called? Bill, when did you realize you wanted, like, when did you realize that you started like thinking about your self-awareness? Like when was this phase?
That's a great
So
question.
funny how I just turned it into my podcast now.
I mean, that's why I invite guests to the show. Everyone's personality is supposed to like be comfortable in being shown, so I appreciate it. Man, that's a great question. Honestly, it had to be okay. Well, it started in high school, but I had a lot of deaths in my family, like consecutively. So like mentally, that shit derailed the fuck out of me. So I went to college. I was just like, fuck it, bro. If I'm gonna just do what I feel like I'm supposed to do while I'm here in this space. But like everything that was happening in between, it was really just depending on the day, like how I dealt with it and everything else. So was I still observing? Yes, but it really hit me post graduation where it was like, okay, I'm in this job, this career, I'm traveling, I'm still in alignment with the things that I'm passionate about. And I just started getting feedback outside of my inner circle. And that's something that I always try to kind of like keep it on the scale to weigh it out. Because, yeah, it's good to get feedback from people outside of who actually knows you. But sometimes that shit could go to your head and it could take its own little journey trying to deal with everything in regards to that. So when I started getting feedback from other people, they would just be like, "Oh yeah, like I appreciate about what you bring to the table on this," or "I appreciate the conversations or the questions." Like I'll be with managers and I'll just be like, "Oh okay, well how was your day?" They're like, "What? How was my day? My day is good." Like I'm just like, well, why are you surprised? And they just like, people just don't normally do that in this space or in these meetings and things of that sort. And I was just like, okay. So that was the aspect that I started reflecting on. And then it really hit me this summer when I got introduced to the film industry because I met so many people that took their creativity seriously on like in a more vulnerable space. Like, yeah, these are my skill sets. I'm gonna tell you what I do. I'm a so network and everything like that. But at the same time, while we're here on this set, I'm speaking to you about what I'm actually going through on a vulnerable level. And I was like, whoa, what? We don't do this.
Exactly.
Like, so when I got around those individuals, they kept like pulling things out of me, and that's what kind of made me like, dang. Even going through like different acting exercises, I'm not an actor. I don't do this. You asking me to write a scene? I can write. I have creativity. I can speak. I love writing. Writing a script, that's different. And then trying to make a shot list, I said, yo, you're literally trying to make me put what I see in my head on the paper. And typically when you're in like more professional spaces, they have templates for you. Like plug and chug, just get the work done. And when I was handed these like questions, I'll be like, okay, well, how do you see your character? What's an experience in your life that you felt like you were isolated or something like that? And it makes you actually experience it again presently and be like, okay, well, how do I put this into words? And having the challenge of doing that made me even in more depth be like, okay, well, what do I actually see in myself outside of just trying to get the job done? Like, yeah, I know once I see a problem, okay, I'll figure like it'll just come to me. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. I don't know what the fuck this is. I'm gonna research this. But it was like, okay, I have to go beyond that because now I have to take all that attention that I would typically put on someone else on myself. And it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. So what does self-awareness look like to you? Like, like you said, there was different types of self-awareness. So where are you at right now? My podcast now.
No, it is. It is. This is shaking the philosophy.
Exactly. Look.
But to answer your question,
Because I feel like people have different meanings for self awareness.
mhm.
So, what does your self awareness look like?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out. But with where I am right now, what I'm understanding it to be is not just how I see myself and my strong suits, but how I try to deal with where I can improve and then acknowledge it fully and not be afraid to say, okay, yes, they say I can create a comfortable atmosphere. Okay, I accept that. Like people ask me now, are you a filmmaker? And I'd be like, and I look at my people around me, they be like, yes, yep, that's what I do now.
Yeah.
So it looks like that, but then to add the extra layer is also how I take the feedback that's coming in. Like, okay, someone is saying good things or someone is saying I need to work on this. How am I taking that with what I already recognize myself as and then build upon it in a way that I don't feel like someone is trying to like come for me or like be against me in a way, but just saying, okay, regardless of how they feel, whatever, I'm still trying to take this situation and build it upon myself. So once I'm in a more high pressure environment or I have to do something with a greater responsibility, I can reflect on that and then make better decisions moving forward.
I feel that. I feel like our self awareness are in two different spaces because you, when you come in, you already know who you are. Where I feel like my self awareness is like people seeing who I am and me not accepting who I am. Does that make
That's
sense?
real. I've been there.
So yeah, so I definitely feel like even like going back to like our first time or like the way when I got interviewed by you guys, I was very shy. When I get interviewed, I always get shy, and I'm like, oh, how do I even introduce myself? You know, because
Mhm.
it's just like, well, me learning how to accept, like, bitch, you are that girl. You have
Mhm.
done so much, but yeah, I don't feel like I've done so much. You know,
Mhm.
but it's just me, I guess, putting pressure upon myself. Um, so yeah, so I'm like, me, I feel like my self awareness is like being intentional with
Mhm.
anything I do and everything I do, with my morals and who I work with. That's my self awareness.
No, I relate to that too though because that's exactly where I was before I did NOCO in June. Or yeah, in June we started in June.
Mm.
So from June to now, everything I just articulated is what I've been registering, observing, and I'm just like, okay, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Like trying to chug along, but prior to that point, it was I was in that same space like, okay, I'm just trying to be intentional with who I'm working with and what I'm doing so that at the end of the day, I feel like mentally I'm sane because the ideas are going to be there, the want to do it or that drive is still going to be there, but it's like I when someone would ask me, "Oh, okay, well what do you do?" and I'm like
A lot.
like how long are we really trying to be here for real? Like, you just want to say what's up, what's up, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to actually, so I didn't have to put too much effort in it, in trying to focus or realize those things within myself because being around so many different creatives, just being transparent, like, if you don't force let me tell you about what I do, it can be so easy to just tell me about yourself and they'll
Yeah.
go on all night and we cool. But like I said, being around people weren't that weren't afraid to be vulnerably open, even with what they were going through and what they saw in me. Like I had people come up to me after telling me like the same things or something different that you communicated to me, and they be like, "Man, I appreciate you for coming onto this set, making everyone feel comfortable so that we can be professional and use our technical skills to get these shots done, but also not feel pressured or we're just doing work for 12 hours straight. You know what I'm saying? And these are people that have been in the industry for years. So I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, I wasn't trying to, but as I'm recognizing these words being said to me because they're being communicated unapologetically. Like, these, you know, the how old folks are, 50
Mm-hmm.
plus, 30 plus. They don't give a fuck. I'm gonna tell you, this is exactly great job. This is what I need. Let's continue. And it's
Facts.
the next project. So it's like once I got around that more predominantly, because I've always like teetered in between like younger generations, older generations. But once I got around that predominantly, it was like, damn, I have no choice
But
but to recognize and accept because they gonna get on my ass about it.
mm-hmm.
Especially when they introducing me to other people or people have seen other things and I walk in, they be like, yo, I'm like, I have to accept this in order to have this conversation with you. So yes, so I feel you. Well, with that being said, how is it for you when you do receive feedback on what you're good at? How do you digest it presently?
Mm, I think I'm like, okay, so what's next? You know, I never really reflect on what I'm good at. I just keep on going, which I
Yeah.
think it's messed up, you know? Because sometimes you need to
Yeah.
put a brakes and be like, damn, who would have thought you would have been this far, you know?
Yeah. I had a come to Jesus moment like that too.
Really?
Yeah, cause it actually happened. It's crazy. Well, nah, it is what it is. Yeah, it's crazy as fuck. Cause it's really been incidents or like small instances happening since New Year's of this year,
Mm-hmm.
and even on New Year's, maybe like last year, somebody they had came over for the first time and it was like, yo, like this an Airbnb, da da da. I said, no, this is my studio. Like I got this space so I could literally get it to the point, fix it up, get it to the point where it can operate on its own. And I can utilize all these spaces for people that are established or trying to get their name across to just have a comfortable space where they can create and have the necessary tools to do so the most effective way possible and to have people around them that's going to pull out ideas and I could hear some conversations and it was like but like you just how old are you like look at what you just did
Mm-hmm.
and there was somebody Catherine actually she was like yo she don't even care about that like this is she's not even digesting the fact that she's not digesting the accomplishment at all she's just knowing that this is what she's supposed to be doing and doing it and just going along and I heard it and I was like damn that is what I'm doing like and it made me think about like okay well yeah I know I've just been doing stuff but I've never sat down to really digest how other people look at it how it
Mm-hmm.
really like comes across in the reality. I've just been so focused on okay, my team needs this. You have to be able to do this. I can't just do this for me because can't have no small space. I gotta have somewhere where people can park. And those are the things that ran in my mind. And it's like, oh shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
So the question of all questions:
Mm-hmm.
are you choosing to challenge yourself to rightfully acknowledge your skill sets?
Um, I feel like right now I just been focused on like accepting it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, and figuring out what do I really want from it, because everything
Mm.
pivots. You know, you
Mhm.
could start, you know, like going back to like the podcast, starting with the podcast. You know, like we were saying, be off camera. Like we started like this whole vibe reminds me when we first met, when we first were doing like the first. I don't even know how many episodes we did, like at the apartment, but it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, that what I wanted then is not what I want now.
That's true.
So trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, how can I pivot from that? From what, like, what's the next step? Am I
Mhm.
going to be good at that? You
Mhm.
know? So that's where I'm at right now,
That's
pivoting.
interesting. I just got asked this question in this other interview where they were like, do you feel as if it's important, or no, do you feel as if it's important to only focus on your strengths, or is it important to be, or is it better to be focused on being an all around person and everything else? So for you,
Mhm,
as far as like trying to see yourself in different avenues and trying to
mhm.
evaluate like your aspiration and where you see yourself going as far as your vision, how is it kind of exposing the things that you need to work on and your emotions towards it?
Hmm, about that, no, I'm just kidding.
No, it be like that.
I'm just kidding. But I'm like trying to think. I feel like I've been trying to run away from the things I'm good at.
Yeah, that's real.
Like that's the thing. Like I'm good at connecting people with people. I'm
Mhm.
good at putting you in rooms. I'm good
Mhm.
at like making sure those bridges are like crossed
Mhm.
and like you stay connected with certain people. That's the reason why I feel like I'm good in the music aspect of things, like
Mhm.
connecting with people, producers, whatever shit is. Um, but I feel like what I'm not good at is what I do. And it's like not like because everybody's like, oh, I like you could keep a conversation going, this, that, and third.
Mhm.
But what I'm not good at is like I guess acknowledging myself and
Mhm.
who I am. So the reason
Mhm.
why I put myself in front of a camera
Mhm.
is to be like, okay, you are her. Why are you keep on running behind the camera? You know,
Mhm.
which I could do anything behind the camera, and I could. Well, I'm trying to do everything in front of the camera too. You know,
Mhm.
so I feel like that's just more of like a self awareness thing, where
Mhm.
it's like okay, you can speak. Why are you so shy? You know, like you
Yeah.
get shy in the beginning, but after a while, you get comfortable.
Mhm.
So learning how to be comfortable, like from the beginning, not just from the middle. You know.
Mm. That's real.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I can see that too, though, because even to that degree, I would say being in creative spaces has always made me comfortable, but I have always tried to run away from it because I know the challenges that being in the creative space or being around creatives can bring. Like, even with just knowing yourself or evaluating if you want to be in front or behind the camera,
Mhm.
like, if you don't really know production, you can easily say, like, oh, yeah, I want to be in front of the camera. I can do this, I can do
Yeah,
that. But at the same time, like, being behind the camera is just as involved with connectivity.
and
Is
challenging too.
what?
Yeah,
Like, it's a whole personality behind the camera in order to make what's in front of the camera look good.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but going back to what you said that like you thinking about like in these creative places and like the challenges come with it, I think the challenge I have is battling myself. You know, so
That's
that's my
good.
challenge. My challenge is like battling myself with going back to like me recognizing who the fuck I am, you know,
Yeah.
and what I've done. So I think that's what my battle is. That's the reason why I put myself in front of the camera. Like I
Mhm.
said, but I always feel like it's always good to know all around. You
Yeah.
can't be like, I'm just being in front of the camera because behind the camera looks hard or like this,
Mhm.
that, and third. Because how are you going to grow if you don't know both ends? You know?
That was
Thanks.
good. No, but that's real though, cause even when I tried to answer the question, I was like, I can't tell you which one is better, cause at the end of the day, like it's always dependent on the actual personality of the individual and what
hmm
they choose that's best for them. But there are like some drawbacks if you can't communicate or understand. And let's say you, like you said, start off with one intention, but then someone gives you an opportunity where you're supposed to lead or, you know, be the person that's supposed to communicate between both ends.
hmm
And it's like, oh yeah, I can talk about what's in front, like
Yeah.
all
But,
day long.
okay, and wait, but that's the thing. I feel like you're putting yourself in a box where you're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
Why want to do anything what no matter what career it is and just stick to one spot? I feel like that's lame, that's
Facts.
boring, that's basic, that's typical. Like why? Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you want to grow? What's so wrong with growing? But a lot of things that's wrong with growing that people don't like to feel uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
that's the part where it's just like, do you hate yourself then? Because I don't know, to me, it just bothers me when people get comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you could do more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you want to do that for yourself?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, being that self aware of, like, oh, I'm just going to be here because I can help people here more. Okay, what if you learn this other position and now you can help even more people
Yep.
and even more, in
Mm-hmm.
different ways. So,
While still sticking to the foundation of what you wanted to do, but
exactly.
opening up yourself for more. Like,
Yeah.
this world is too big.
Yeah.
But I feel you on that because that that is another thing that I had to battle with too. Because one thing I realized in my self awareness journey, like once you start it, it ain't no stopping. Like
Hmm.
it's it's there. Like even if you
Yeah.
want to ignore it, it's like, dang, you could really just do this, or you could think about doing this.
Yeah. But I like, even going back to like, this has played a lot out since like last year,
Mhm.
around like this time of the year last year, which is crazy, is like me just stepping away from shaking the culture and me
Mhm.
just like stopping everything, um just because I got comfortable and I
Mm.
got not unmotivated, because like I love my baby, like that's my heart, that's my everything. If I ever were to stop shaking the culture, like please just shoot me, honestly, because that's like my whole life,
Uh
and
huh.
that's really what I feel like I live
Mhm.
for the brand and like what it represents and what we do. But I literally was in a place where I'm like, I just got too comfortable,
Mhm.
and not in a bad way, because everything was amazing,
Mhm.
But with all that being said, it's just like, how much do you care? And you get to be self awareness, like, okay, why are you like
Ooh,
this?
that was a good
So yeah, I
one.
always give
Yeah.
you
No, for real though,
good ones.
because like that's really it.
Yeah.
Especially when you going through a phase where shit is good, but are you doing what you actually want to do?
Mhm.
Even though materialistically you straight, mentally you
Exactly.
might be straight, but at the end of the day, you still have that party that's nagging. Like you can.
Yeah. Also, like, you realize all the money
Yeah.
and time
Mhm.
and energy and relationships you built behind it.
Mhm.
It's just like, dude, I don't want to give that up
Yeah.
at all. Um, so yeah, so that's the reason why I'm like, dude, okay. And then also, you always get those reinsurance, that random reinsurance, when people hitting you up, DMing you, and you just going through your IG page or YouTube, like, what the fuck? I've met so many dope ass people,
Yeah.
and to this day, I could give them a call and we could have a conversation,
Yeah.
So it's just like, why? Why did I feel like that? So I'm just like, okay, because I need to pivot. I've got too comfortable with
Mhm.
where I was at. So now, what is shaking the culture? What does it represent? What's the vision for shaking the culture
Mhm.
now? So yeah,
That's real. Cause even that evolves,
exactly.
and it's supposed to.
Yeah,
Cause it's supposed to be bigger than you at the end of the day.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I like that. That was
yeah,
ooh. Okay. Okay. Okay.
thanks.
I had couple more questions. All right. So in regards to just evaluating, okay, this is the intentionality that I'm trying to bring to the table.
Hmm.
And going back into just understanding how once you start this self-awareness, it ain't really stopping. How is it kind of transitioning to articulating that? Because I know based on what you described to me, you're still in your own journey of just being able to recognize, but there's there's still a level of vocalization
Hmm.
where you're able to address the fact that, okay, I'm here. So in regards of just being able to get to that point, how has that been for you, not just with yourself, but trying to walk in that with the people around you?
Um, I think kind of like isolating yourself, because I feel like sometimes people isolate themselves just because
Mhm.
they do need to realize and regroup what they want
Mhm.
and how certain things make them feel, how certain groups make them feel.
Mhm.
Um, And I feel like a lot of people are not okay with that because I've had friends be like, "Oh, you don't speak to me no more,"
Mhm.
or like, "You and them are just not aligned anymore."
Mhm.
Um, so it's just like, it is what it is. You're
Yeah.
growing,
Yeah.
and you end up being around the group you want to be with. But also, even at work though, like I could tell you right now, I felt like the reason why I felt like last year
Mhm.
was because I wasn't around the right group.
Facts.
I wasn't around the right group. I
Facts.
was not around the right people. Um, but it's because I isolated myself, and
Mhm.
that's on me at the end
Mhm.
of the day. Even now, I went to New York. I
Mhm.
felt like I was around the right people. I got motivated again. I
Mhm.
was like, dude, this is what I'm meant to do. Um, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just the people you're around with. The way they move is the way that you tend to move,
Mhm.
because the way I feel like when we were really, really close back then,
Mhm.
it was just like, damn, we were in the same, like, we were aligned as fuck.
Mhm.
And I could come to you, and even when you moved to, well, you were going back and forth from LA and here, but
Mhm.
it's like we stopped hanging around with so many people.
Yeah.
And also, like, the people I interviewed in the beginning, they're not doing this anymore. So
Yeah.
that's the reason I was like, okay, now I have to be intentional because I don't want somebody to come on my platform. You're just doing it to be white, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I want you to actually pursue this. I actually want you to be like, I don't give a fuck how long it takes, but I'm gonna make it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's the reason why I was like, let me step back and be intentional.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, like I literally put myself in a box, and that was on me.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of my intentionality stems from because it kind of drives me or puts me, as you said, in alignment for decisions that they really go beyond me. Like they
Hmm.
physically remove me from places I'm not supposed to be in,
Yeah.
and I'll look back and I'll be like, dang, well, so and so, like I want to reach out, like I want to come out, but at the same time, and this fully just processed for me. Like maybe last night I went to an event and I was just like, I support this individual. I love the people. I'm excited at the fact that y'all are still going, y'all are dedicated. But at the end of the day, like how y'all are trying to get it is not in alignment with me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like of course you'll welcome me supporting you. Duh, that's what we're supposed to be here to do.
Yeah.
But also y'all can't help me in my aligned journey. Like it's not anything against them. It's just the fact that what I'm meant to do and the people I'm supposed to be working with and everything else, like that's just different from what
Hmm.
you are aiming to do and step with. So yeah, I can come out here support you and be around you, but that's only coming to a detriment to myself.
Yeah.
Like, and that kind of lesson, it just made it sink in. Like, damn, I didn't have to be here, regardless of how this person took it. At the end of the day, like, I met you for a reason, yes, but the season has now passed. Like,
Yeah.
and I had to recognize it's okay for that season to pass. Like, it's okay for you to have a moment of isolation, for you to recollect yourself, because at the end of the day, if you can't sit with yourself, that's a problem. And that is
Facts.
going to create so many more issues that you might not even be aware of until it's too late.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like going back to when we first met, we was always out. Like we were always out, but also you always gotta like be intentional with that too. If I go to this
Mhm.
event, what am I gonna gain from it? Or am I just gonna go out and get fucked up?
Mhm.
Do I want to be fucked up?
Mhm.
Where am I at, like mentally, emotionally,
Mhm.
and etc.
Yeah. And that has changed a lot for me too because now even though then I only went out for real because of business, but the people I was going out with,
Hmm.
they didn't really have that same alignment. So it was like, okay, yes, I'm here for business and I'm still doing my job while I'm in this space, but at the same time, that ain't where your
Hmm.
head is at. So
Yeah.
it's like there's a friction that starts creating like over time to where it's like, dang, I still recognize what y'all are doing and I understand it, but I can't do it as often as I would before because That's not how I'm moving.
Yeah, I feel like me more so. It was like I'm stepping out so I can be seen.
That's real.
You know, so it's like, oh shit, she's like touchable. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She's tangible.
Mhm.
But now I don't,
Mhm.
because now, like you said, my just mindset, my intentions, everything I do is just in a different spot, different
Mhm.
place. So
And that's okay.
yeah, but learning that it's hard though,
Yeah.
because you're like, damn, am I missing out? You
Mhm.
feel like you're missing out, and you feel like your friends in that group you created or you were around with, like they forgot about you.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like it's time to move on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like even to that point, I felt like that before. And it's
Mhm.
been like, well, can they really forget? No, it's probably
Exactly.
living in their head when they actually sit down. But at the end of the day, like, again, that just goes to the momentum. Like,
Yeah.
it's different. So even though I reflect in this way, their reflection don't look the same. So I can't apply what I feel and everything else to them.
Mhm.
No, they a whole separate individual. So even if they do, that's cool.
Mhm.
They ain't got nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
Cause at the end of the day, it's about how you moving.
Yeah.
In actuality, like, what are you? Even if you can recognize it here mentally, if it's not translating to your actions or your communication, like,
Yeah.
I can only try to do so much until I'm physically in a position to where they say, okay, this is it. Here's where you're supposed to be
Be
focused on.
exactly.
And it happens just like that because it'll be like you said, I always have had trouble with making friends with people my own age because it was always an instance of, oh dang, you ain't hit me up, you ain't do this, you ain't
Yeah.
remember, da, da, da. Do you know what I am doing? Like, I'm trying to prepare for the next couple years. And
Mhm.
it's no love loss. It's just the fact of if you don't see why I'm taking extra time to complete this document or doing this or doing that, so that we can go out and we can have fun and everything else. So like it is not living in my mind like I haven't done this thing.
Mhm.
There's only so many times that we can talk about it until the work that I was actually doing pulls me away and says, okay, this is the reason why you were doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now you have to focus on addressing this and putting it towards something else. And then the people that were in that space, they're just like, oh, well, you forgot. I didn't forget.
Yeah.
I was the same person ever since.
Exactly, but they just see you like doing so much that they just think that you just don't fuck with them anymore. You're just even them, like they're just not aligned with you anymore, you know?
Yeah,
People have different paths.
yeah. And that's where the acceptance comes in because that was the only way that I could go past that with the people I've met at this point in my life. Because, school shit, that's easy. You know what I'm saying? Middle school, elementary school, high school, college, like, well, depending on if you were in organizations, it's not so easy. But that relatively institutional phase, like that's easy to just be like, we're just gonna leave that in
Yeah.
the past. But once you're living life and you actually build things with individuals, it's kind of harder because, like you said, there's time that went into this. There's money. There's so
So
many
much.
things,
Yeah.
and it's like, bro, like I want to be there, but I can't.
Exactly. Because you have other shit to do
Yeah,
and get done.
facts. So, how would you say it looks like for how do I say this word? Hmm. How would you say it looks when you're trying to make the decision on actually executing this and taking the extra initiative to kind of work through your frustrations through the process?
It's so crazy because you just reminded me of my friend Kirsten. She
Uh
said
huh.
this a while ago when we were like planning the Shaking the Culture Festival,
Mhm.
that I'm like at the moment person. If
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so this is the plan, we need to call this person, like let's call this artist, let's call this manager, let's make an appointment to go see this venue. I'm at the moment person. Because if I don't strongly feel like I really want it, I'm
Mm.
gonna like take my time with it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But if I really want it and I really want shit to get done at the moment, like sadly, I'm just gonna jump and
Mhm.
get to it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm just like, oh fuck, later on because it's like the day of.
Mhm.
And I'm just like a nervous wreck. Like I literally, my whole body just shuts down because I'm like, dude, I think I have COVID. But it's like, no, bitch, it's your fucking body telling you you're anxious, you're nervous, you're
Yeah.
like throwing up and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, I'm about to die. But it's just because I'm like, so my body literally gets so anxious and nervous
Uh-huh.
the day before, 2, 3 days before. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. But like, I'm just thinking about like the events and festivals I've had before.
Let me tell y'all something. When it comes to Diana, don't call her on the day of an event.
Really? Why?
You're not gonna answer. That joint is gonna go right to voicemail.
I'm trying to think. You know what's so crazy though? That now that you said that, I remember meeting somebody like at an event. Well, okay, so I don't remember meeting that person at events that
Uh-huh.
I throw,
Uh-huh.
and then like later on, I'm like, yeah, I met you before, and I'm like, you have, and I'm so sorry if I've done that to you.
It's no love lost. She just don't be there, bro.
No, exactly, and like it's so funny because you explained it to somebody before. You were like, yeah, honestly, meeting Diana during those events, sometimes it might not be the like, because her mind is like everywhere. My mind
Yeah.
is literally everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, I apologize. That's just, yeah, just apologize.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Don't
like,
be hurt.
no, please, like, it's not that, like, no, like, I kind of remember faces, but my whole thing is like, I guess, like, at my events, I'm just looking all around. I'm not looking
Mm-hmm.
what's straight in front of me or
Mm-hmm.
like the person that's in straight in front of me. My whole, like, view and vision is just like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I apologize. Simple as that. So yeah. But I like meeting new people and stuff. I think it's inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Just meeting somebody else that you're like, oh my God, you're an entrepreneur, creative. Um, and you keep on going. I always find like inspiration in different people and the
Yeah.
reason why they do shit.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
the
what
reason why.
helped me too.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, no, like I want to definitely meet more people and stuff like that. But just being intentional though.
Yeah.
Going back to that whole thing.
Yeah. Because that feedback definitely like helps calm me down.
Yeah,
Especially when I'm in like a super, like not even a super, but just a rut in general.
yeah. It's just yeah.
I feel it. Um, so okay. We went through just the lows of what you recognize and what you're working through.
Mhm.
So I guess just going into your vision in general
Mhm.
of what you want yourself to be. I know we've talked about it a little bit off camera, but
Mhm.
in regards to that vision, like what is it? And then as you're assessing yourself in your process of development, like do you feel as if you're getting closer?
Um, that's so crazy because of what I wanted back then,
Mm-hmm.
now that I think about it, was like the bare minimum,
Mm.
you know?
Ooh.
And like what I want now,
Untapped potential.
like what I want now is like the whole world, and
Yeah.
like it's way bigger than what I wanted then.
Mhm.
Um, like it will always be like I want to own my own festival.
Mhm.
That's like always thing. But now I want to own my own media company, you know, where we're creating different shows, different platforms underneath STC, which is of course abbreviated for Shaking the Culture.
Mhm.
But I want to stand on the name. And
Mhm.
like that's always been my thing. Just stand on really what does it mean to shake the culture.
Mhm.
So I want to create shows underneath that stand for shaking the culture. And there's a lot of things about to come 2025. Um, so yeah, but also with that, like basically, like I think the best way to explain it is like another complex,
Mm.
but Latina owned, female owned, you know? So
Mm.
so yeah, so that's my thing. Like I want to sit in a room where it's like, oh shit, she's the only Latina female here,
Mhm.
and of course bring my girls to it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I'm excited, but right now it's just like finding the production team to back it.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at right now. Because like I want all these things, but now it's trying to figure out how can I execute
Mhm.
the proper way. Um, so yeah, so that's why right now I'm just like, don't talk to me. I got shit to get done, you know?
Yeah.
And like just writing everything down. Like I literally wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, write shit down, and go back to sleep because it's just in
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, because if I don't do it then, like I have voice memos,
As
in
you
my phone
should.
of like the way I want to introduce this new platform,
Mhm.
and like ideas of who I want to reach out to.
Mhm.
But and I feel like back then I was so open to people reaching out to me to be on shaking the culture.
Mhm.
Now I don't. Now
Mm.
I'm not. It's not that like I don't want you on my podcast. That's the reason why I don't respond to you or anything like that.
Mhm.
But like I said, being intentional, like, are you genuinely shaking the culture? You can't be
Ooh.
shaking the culture with just like
Ooh.
because
Oh my god.
but like this is the thing I always get, and then like no shade at all. Like I get it. I trust me, I definitely get it.
Uh,
But it's like, how are you genuinely shaking the culture? Oh,
yeah.
because I'm bringing a different sound. Okay, what sound is that?
Yeah.
That we don't have,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you sound just like the person you listen to.
Yeah.
So, what's so different about that? Like, I like experiences, like I want to hear your
That's
music
it.
through the experience or your event. I want to
Mhm.
experience it so I
Mhm.
won't forget it. You
Mhm.
as a person, I want to experience you.
Mhm.
Don't be like everybody else. So, like, yeah. So, that's really what I'm standing on right now.
Okay. Now I feel that.
Doing that.
So, in regards to your journey,
hmm
is that what you're bringing to the table too?
Um, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That's just being very intentional, like beyond intentional, standing on my morals.
Mhm.
And I don't give a fuck about who you are and what you do and
Mhm.
who you have on your platform.
Mhm.
Like if I don't feel like I genuinely fuck with you,
Yeah.
I don't want to be associated with you.
Yeah.
And no disrespect at all. But I just want to be as raw and uncut and like genuine as possible.
Mhm.
I don't want to just smile and be like, yes, let's collab because I know back in my head we're gonna get hella fucking like views and I'm gonna get the clout and it's
Mhm.
gonna be that one hit wonder and like I don't want
Mhm.
any of that. Like I just want it to be as real as possible,
Yeah.
which is hard
That's
because
fair.
I feel like a lot of people try to be very authentic and people like just try to show that authentic side of them, but that's not really them, you know?
Yeah. There's levels to authenticity too,
Yeah.
because there's the persona that you can create
Mhm.
and how you allow what you allow people to see
Mhm.
for the time being, and then there's you and
Yeah.
what you're actually feeling about being in a situation or what you could possibly be hiding from the other people around you that's helping you do or getting you to the opportunities you recognize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and I think I'm like really most excited about like I think I've posted it before if you guys follow me, like posted a while ago actually, where like I want to have this new podcast
Mhm.
called Open Conversations with Diana or Open
Mhm.
Combos, still deciding on the name, and like literally have maybe like a whole season already written down,
Mhm.
and every theme or every episode, there's a person that I feel like represents that conversation.
Mhm.
So I'm excited because these people, I feel like it's gonna be interesting
Mhm.
on what they have to say. So I'm excited.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
That's very
definitely more
cool.
like I said, softer. Like really get to know me, not
Mhm.
just like shaking the culture is music, creativity, is entertainment. But
Mhm.
the open convos with Diana is like really who I am and what I think and the questions I ask myself.
Mhm.
So
Yes. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Oh, it's such
yeah.
a long journey. That girl got two platforms.
Girl, we have two other ones coming up too, so I'm excited.
Oh, we love
Yeah, I'm telling you,
it.
Shaking the Culture at CC Media. Shaking the Culture will be presenting a lot of things next year.
Ah, we love it.
Yeah, so please
Growth.
don't hit me up. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Anything, please hit up my manager. Appreciate it.
I was about to say you ain't got no choice.
Right? Just hit up the
Excuse me.
management. Thanks.
When can I get an episode?
Yeah, yeah. Please don't do that. Because this is the thing. I don't want to charge people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my whole thing. Like I care more for relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but sadly, it's shaking the culture. Like the podcast, shaking the culture itself, the music, the entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Like sadly, it's a business.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to be treating it like a business.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else except for like the open conversations with Diana. No, you cannot get on the podcast if I don't reach out to you. No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Everything else, we'll talk about it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
real. Honestly, I agree with that. Like that's things that levels of intentionality I try to put in my projects as well. Like but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Okay, so with that being said, I did have one more question, and then after that question, it's pretty much like the last couple minutes of the episode, and that's where I turn the tables over to you, so it can be the philosophy of shaking.
I already did that at the beginning of the episode.
Well,
We
yeah,
can have
but
more. It's okay.
it doesn't have to pertain to this specific topic, but it can also encompass any other aspect when we talk off camera, whole another conversation. So it's an open door for you.
Okay.
Shaking the philosophy. Yep. No, I like that for shit show. That was good.
Thanks. You thought about it, but thanks for giving me the credit.
Well, no, because you asked questions, which is what made me think about it.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking your questions.
Of course.
Because that would have never happened.
Right.
So okay, my last question was okay. So in regards of just assessing or understanding where you've grown from and what you're trying to grow into, how would you say you look at yourself now when you're in that process of recognition? Does that make sense?
Kinda.
So, okay, when we previously talked, I know you said when the main thing that you're trying to focus on is just you actually recognizing and going through that process of being aware. But in order for you through the isolation, through the runts, through learning everything, through the frustration, you always have to go back to those root principles that kind of provide a cushion for you of when you're just like, ugh. Or even whether it be support from other people, like what are those principles that you kind of fall back on that you see that or that you recognize to be like this is what helps me get through, even if it's just me helping me?
I think just seeing my little sister actually be so amazed on what I do. And she's like, which is so crazy to me though, because like I, I hid this from my parents for a while. And like they still haven't accepted it all the way, but like my little sister, you've met Sophia.
Oh yeah, she's like, do that, do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. She's always when I like would get ready or whatever, she's like, "Are you gonna do an interview? Can I go?" And if she sees me on YouTube, she's like so amazed, and like I think that's what keeps me going because the fuck, like you see, like the way she sees me when she sees that like I'm going to do that and how like exciting I am and actually get ready and she's like
she over there looking at the process.
Yes,
like,
but like ever since she was 3, she's always like makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So sorry, I am the one to blame for that. But still, it's just like just her looking at me and just being so proud of it is crazy to me. And I think that's the part where it's like if I like my younger self could look at myself now, that's how I would look at myself. The way Sophia looks at me. So thank you. I'm telling you, I'm so good at this. No, just kidding.
That was good though. Like that's real.
But yeah, just like which is crazy. That's why it's like it is important for you to be a certain way around your younger siblings or
Mhm.
any like younger kids around your neighborhood or anything like that because they do look at you,
Mhm.
you know. So I think that's really where it's like, damn, I would have looked at myself the way Sophia is looking at me now
Mm.
when I was younger. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm like, dude, you're doing it. You've gone through so much shit. And the only way this just happened is because you're doing it. Because you want
Mhm.
it. You're making
Mhm.
shit happen by yourself.
Mhm.
So why stop?
That's real.
Yeah.
Dang, I had another question about patience, but we gonna be here all day.
Is it patience?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, patience. It's hard. Patience is hard. I don't know why you're laughing.
It was. You said patience. Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one.
That was
That one.
difficult.
Still
But
is. That's the thing.
it
It still
always
is.
is.
Yeah.
Like even for me, like right now, yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. Like I know who I can go to if I actually need anything, but it's just the patience involved on like learning the new
Oh
skills,
yeah, that part.
getting
Oh god.
adjusted to the new environments, and like
Messing
honestly,
up. Like your mistakes you have to do, you have to be patient with yourself. Give yourself
hmm
grace through the mistakes and shit not coming out right.
yeah, and then wait on the opportunities that you actually recognize too. Like there's, like I said, like I was saying earlier, there's been some things that I do where I'm just like, I'm just doing this like
Yeah.
because I know I'm supposed to, but I'm not really acknowledging all the other stuff until that opportunity comes or that moment comes where it's like, damn,
Yeah.
I do recognize this as being impactful.
Facts.
So yeah, that comes many in between.
Yeah.
So with that being said, now it's over to you. If you have any more questions for me, whether pertaining to this topic or anything outside of it. So
um this is a question I ask all my guests.
yeah.
When you hear shaking the culture, what do you think about?
Hmm.
Me? No, just kidding.
Well, honestly, my experiences with you has definitely provided me a perspective on the version of shaking the culture that I do see. And what I see in just shaking the culture, it's it's diverse for one, because it's literally a window into somebody else's perspective on how they're taking something that's so seemingly normal or seemingly traditional and putting an actual innovative expression to it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I see it as. Like it can deal with culture, okay, cool. It can deal with like skill levels and career, but it's like you said, the intentionality. Like
Hmm.
you're making music, but are you only using just different 808 beats, but are you using like a maraca from some other country to try to emulate a sound that's similar to an 808,
Hmm.
but it involves completely different elements, completely different energies. Like where is the inspiration coming from that can still be labeled as R&B,
Hmm.
but it's it ain't no regular shit. So even when people speak, like, okay, yes, you're saying, you know, what you have to be self-aware, but at the same time, what are you exposing in the actual levels of intricacy? Because it's not always a cliche. Yes, it can sound, appropriate, but even cliches like have specific things that made them true in those situations. So yeah.
Okay. We love that. Just kidding. But yeah, that's really it. I
Okay.
has asked my other questions at the beginning. But yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, this was an amazing conversation. And like I said, I had more questions, but we will really be here all day and y'all got to go. So I'm gonna allow her to reintroduce herself, let y'all know where you can find her, and get tapped into everything that she got brewing for the next season.
Oh, I'm engaged. I'm just kidding. I'm not. But to
Oh, shit!
that would have been a way to end it, though. You're fucking hilarious. You know, I told that to Bug. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, shit! I
That shit's
called his
hilarious.
No, you would have blew the fuck out of me. I'm like,
Somebody, you just looked down at my hand. I'm just kidding. Definitely, but just kidding. Just kidding, guys. But what were you saying?
Let them know where to find you. Let them know where to get tapped in and everything else.
Okay. You can follow me at Diana_Garcia with 3 A's, and then of course Shaking the Culture and Shaking the Culture Festival. That's it.
For sure. Now y'all already see what she got coming, so y'all already know. With that being said, we at the end of the episode, so we'll see you later.
Bye.
Peace.